Listen, I'm about to tell you something that's going to make every couple on Instagram unfollow me. And honestly, I'm here for it. You know what the most powerful relationship status is? It's not in a relationship. It's not even it's complicated. It's I'm too busy building myself to settle for someone who's still figuring out how to adult. Yeah, I said it. Staying single until you master yourself isn't just some philosophical flex. It's the ultimate power move that ancient Stoics understood 2,000 years ago, and somehow we're out here acting like Tinder is the answer to our problems. Marcus Aurelius didn't conquer the Roman Empire by swiping right. Epictetus didn't become one of history's greatest philosophers by worrying about double texting. These guys understood something we've completely forgotten. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you definitely can't build a solid relationship when you're still a construction site yourself. Now, before you think this is just another love yourself first motivational speech your aunt shares on Facebook, hold up. This goes way deeper than affirmations and vision boards. We're talking about the raw, unfiltered truth that most people are terrified to admit. The reason your relationships keep failing isn't because you haven't found the one. It's because you haven't become the one for yourself yet. The Stoics had this wild concept they called autarkia, self-sufficiency. Not the kind where you refuse to ask for help at IKEA and end up with a bookshelf that looks like modern art. No, this is about being emotionally, mentally, and spiritually complete on your own. It's about reaching a point where a relationship is a choice, not a desperate need to fill a void the size of the Grand Canyon. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone jump into a relationship because they were overflowing with self-love and wanted to share their abundance? Exactly. Most people are out here relationship hopping like they're playing musical chairs, terrified they'll be left standing alone when the music stops. That's not love. That's panic with a pretty filter. Here's where it gets interesting. Seneca, the OG Stoic philosopher who literally had more wisdom in his pinky finger than most of us have in our entire bodies, once said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And boy, does that hit different when you think about relationships. We're so scared of being alone that we create these horror movie scenarios in our heads where dying single means dying unsuccessful. Newsflash, dying with the wrong person because you were too scared to be alone, that's the real tragedy. The ancient Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. Basically, they'd imagine losing everything they had to appreciate what they currently possessed and prepare for life's curveballs. Now, I'm not saying you should sit around imagining your future relationships crumbling, although if you've been through enough of them, you probably don't need to imagine. What I am saying is this. If the thought of being single terrifies you more than the thought of being in a mediocre relationship, you've got your priorities upside down. Let's talk about why mastering yourself before coupling up is the most gangster move you can make. First off, when you're not desperately seeking validation from someone else, you start making decisions based on what you actually want, not what you think will make someone stay. You know that feeling when you agree to watch their favorite show even though you'd rather gouge your eyes out with a spoon? Yeah, that stops. When you're solid in who you are, you don't negotiate your boundaries like they're Black Friday deals. Epictetus, who went from being a slave to one of the most influential philosophers in history, talk about a glow-up, taught that we should focus only on what we can control. And here's the kicker. You can't control whether someone loves you. You can't control whether they stay. You can't control whether they wake up one day and decide they'd rather be with someone who has a better Netflix algorithm. But you can control becoming the kind of person who doesn't crumble when external circumstances change. When you master yourself first, you develop what the Stoics called apatheia, not apathy like you don't care about anything, but a state where you're not enslaved by your emotions. You feel them, sure, but they don't run the show. Imagine being in a disagreement with someone and not immediately spiraling into they hate me, this is over, I'm gonna die alone surrounded by cats, which, for the record, doesn't sound that bad. That's the power of emotional mastery. Here's something nobody wants to admit, but everyone needs to hear. Most people use relationships as emotional shortcuts. They think finding the right person will magically fix their anxiety, their insecurities, their complete lack of direction in life. It's like expecting a Band-Aid to fix a broken leg. Sure, it might cover up the problem for a while, but eventually you're going to have to deal with the fact that something fundamental is broken.
Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, which, by the way, was basically his personal journal that he never intended anyone to read, so you know it's the unfiltered truth, that you have power over your mind, not outside events. This dude was literally running an empire, dealing with wars, plagues, and political drama that would make Game of Thrones look like a children's birthday party. And he still understood that the only real power he had was over himself. When you stay single to master yourself, you're not running away from love, you're preparing for it. You're building a foundation so solid that when you do choose to let someone into your life, it's not because you need them to complete you, because you're not a half-finished puzzle. It's because you genuinely want to share your already complete life with them. Let's get practical for a second. What does mastering yourself actually look like? It's learning to sit with discomfort without immediately reaching for a distraction, whether that's your phone, food, or, yes, another relationship. It's developing skills, pursuing goals, and building a life that excites you when you wake up in the morning. It's becoming so comfortable with who you are that other people's opinions become background noise instead of the soundtrack of your life.
The Stoics believed in something called amor fati, love of fate. Not just accepting what happens to you, but actively loving it, learning from it, using it to become stronger. Every failed relationship you've had, every time you've been ghosted, cheated on, or left, that's not evidence that you're unlovable. That's data. That's the universe giving you a masterclass in what you don't want and who you need to become. Here's where people get it twisted. They think staying single means becoming some cold, emotionless robot who doesn't need anyone. Wrong. The Stoics weren't emotionless. They were wise about their emotions. They understood that true strength isn't never feeling pain. It's feeling it and not letting it destroy you. It's the difference between being so terrified of heartbreak that you never open up and being so solid in yourself that you can be vulnerable without being desperate. Think about the strongest people you know. Not gym strong, though respect if they are. I'm talking about the people who seem unshakable, who have their lives together, who radiate this quiet confidence that makes you want to be around them. I guarantee you those people aren't checking their phone every 5 seconds to see if their crush texted back. They're not losing sleep over whether someone likes them. They've done the work on themselves, and it shows. Seneca talked about how we're always rushing toward the future, thinking, I'll be happy when I get that job, when I buy that house, when I find that person. But happiness isn't a destination, it's who you become along the journey. And if you're constantly outsourcing your happiness to other people, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of disappointment punctuated by brief moments of validation. Now, I know what you're thinking, but humans are social creatures. We're not meant to be alone. And you're right, the Stoics understood the importance of community and relationships. But here's the crucial distinction. They advocated for relationships built on mutual virtue and respect, not codependent messes where two incomplete people are trying to make a whole person and failing spectacularly. When you master yourself first, you attract different kinds of people. You stop attracting the ones who see you as a project, a fixer-upper, someone they can mold into their ideal partner. You start attracting people who respect your boundaries because you've actually established them. People who challenge you to grow instead of keeping you small because your growth threatens their ego. The Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, teaches us to prepare for worst-case scenarios, not to be pessimistic, but to be resilient. Applied to relationships, this means understanding that yes, you might get hurt. Yes, someone might leave. Yes, your heart might get broken into pieces so small you'll find them in your metaphorical couch cushions for years. But if you've mastered yourself, if you've built a life that doesn't revolve around another person, that heartbreak doesn't destroy you. It just redirects you. Here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing a relationship is the moment you become ready for a great one. When you're complete on your own, you're not bringing baggage, desperation, and unhealed trauma to the table. You're bringing your best self. And that's when you can build something real, something that enhances both people's lives instead of just filling holes. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Same goes for relationships. Stop arguing about what your ideal partner should be, what relationship you deserve, why you can't find the right person. Instead, become the right person. Master yourself. Develop discipline, wisdom, courage, and temperance, the four cardinal virtues of Stoicism. Build a life so fulfilling that a relationship becomes the cherry on top, not the entire sundae. The power of staying single until you master yourself isn't about avoiding relationships forever. It's about having the courage to wait for the right one instead of settling for whatever comes along because you're scared of your own company. It's about understanding that being alone and being lonely are two completely different things. You can be surrounded by people and feel completely isolated, or you can be by yourself and feel totally at peace. Think of yourself as a house. Would you invite someone to move into a house that's still under construction with exposed wiring, holes in the walls, and a foundation that's questionable at best? Or would you finish the house first, make it a home, and then choose someone worthy of living in it with you? Most people are out here handing out keys to a condemned building and wondering why their relationships keep collapsing. The Stoics understood that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts, and if your thoughts are constantly consumed with finding someone to complete you, you're admitting that you're incomplete. That's not romantic, that's a setup for disaster. Complete yourself. Master your mind, your emotions, your reactions. Become someone you'd want to be in a relationship with. Here's your harsh truth for the day. If you wouldn't date you, why should anyone else? If you're not working on yourself, growing, evolving, becoming better, what exactly are you bringing to the table? Your ability to recite every line from The Office? Your collection of red flags disguised as quirky personality traits? The Stoics were all about radical self-improvement, and that starts with honest self-assessment. Epictetus taught his students to constantly question their impulses and desires. Is this something within my control? Is this truly good for me? Apply that to your desperate need to be in a relationship. Is it within your control whether someone chooses you? No. Is settling for someone just to avoid being alone truly good for you? Absolutely not. So why are you letting that drive your decisions? The ultimate power move is building a life so amazing that someone has to bring something incredible to the table to even consider sharing it with them. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. The Stoics weren't about ego, they were about operating from a place of inner strength and wisdom. That's the energy you want. So, here's your call to action, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Stop looking for someone to save you. Stop scrolling through dating apps like you're shopping for furniture. Stop ignoring the work you need to do on yourself by distracting yourself with relationships that have an expiration date shorter than the milk in your fridge. Instead, commit to mastering yourself. Dive into Stoic philosophy. Read Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. Apply their wisdom to your actual life, not just as intellectual entertainment. Build skills, develop discipline, face your shadows instead of running from them. Become so comfortable being alone that you only say yes to companionship that genuinely enhances your life. And when you're ready, truly ready, you'll attract relationships that reflect the work you've done. Not perfect relationships, because those don't exist, but real ones built on mutual respect, growth, and actual compatibility instead of just mutual loneliness. Remember, the Stoics conquered empires, influenced millions, and their wisdom still echoes through millennia, and it all started with mastering themselves first. You've got the same capacity. The question is, are you brave enough to actually do the work, or are you going to keep using relationships as an excuse to avoid becoming who you're meant to be? The power is yours, always has been. Now stop reading and go become the kind of person that doesn't need this script. Become someone who already knows their worth. And when you get there, maybe, just maybe, you'll be ready for the kind of love that actually lasts. Until then, stay single, stay focused, and stay stoic. Now get out there and master yourself. Your future self is watching, and trust me, they're judging your current decisions hard.